Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. Today is Wednesday, June 18th, and I'm so excited that you are tuned in for your midweek motivational message. I am Nikhol Jackson. So delighted that you are here. We've got an awesome topic to discuss this morning. It's hump day, and sometimes knowing it's hump day just isn't enough, and you need that extra something to get you over the hump. And if you are here in the Atlanta area, boy, it's been some interesting stuff going on here in Atlanta. Today is Wednesday, as I said, and the weather is hot. It is 7:30, and it's probably almost 90 degrees already. So just a little something to get over the hump day heat. Wow. Well, let's jump into our call today. Again, it's Wednesday the 18th. I'm so excited that you're here. Many of you who tune in every week have been faithful and been here since we first started Midweek Motivational Message last month, and I pray and hope that you've been blessed by these messages. And, like I always say, If you like it and you find that it's great information and it's helping you, don't be stingy. Pass it on. Let someone else know about our midweek motivational messages to help get you over the hump. And I always say also as well that I want to hear from you. These messages are for you. I guess I love doing what I do, but I want to inspire and help encourage and support and uplift you guys, the listeners, supporters, through whatever it is that you're going through. If you follow me on social media and any of my platforms, I am big on healing and recovery. And part of my motto and mantra is that healing is just a journey away. And that's where the name of my counseling company comes from, Just a Journey Counseling. And that's not something that I just came up with because I thought it sounded good. But it's a mantra that I live by. It's a mantra that was developed out of my own personal struggles and sorrow and just issues and grief. But over time, I have learned that healing is just a journey away. Life's a journey. Things happen. You come and go. Sometimes the road on that journey is windy. Sometimes you get steep hills. Sometimes you get low valleys. But all the way through, you can find healing. You can find peace. And you can recover from whatever it is that you've been through. I'm always, say that it doesn't matter what you've gone through, doesn't matter what you're going through, and it doesn't matter what you will go through in the future. Healing is just a journey away. So I want you guys to remember that as we begin this call today. And so the title of our call today is A Challenge to the Fatherless. And I know you guys may be thinking, well, what in the world, is that about in helping to motivate? But just, roll with me and listen as we kind of go through this call today. But we all know, today's Wednesday. Father's Day was 3 days ago on the 15th. And for most of us, Father's Day is a time that we take to positively reflect on the many experiences and the times that we've had with our fathers and the roles that our fathers have played in our lives. And so, we sit back and we think about those childhood memories. We think about how our fathers have impacted our lives into adulthood. And those of us who have our own spouses and children, we think about how we picked our spouse based upon different qualities and characteristics of our fathers. And, those are the ladies. And so we have some really good, fond memories of fatherhood and growing up with our dads. But there are others of us who experience Father's Day in a completely different way. It's not necessarily as positive as one would think. It's not necessarily as positive as I'm sure they would like to remember and experience Father's Day. And so when we talk about the challenge to the fatherless, yes, everyone born into this world has a father. We come from the egg and the sperm, which comes from a man and a woman, which makes them our mother and our father biologically. So, yes, everyone has a father who was born into the world. But many of us have been and still are what we call fatherless. You see, a father is someone who is there to not only, help bring you into this world as the biological being that makes up part of your DNA and chromosomes, but a father is also one who is there for you to encourage, support, sometimes scold, to give direction, to give confidence and love and esteem and emotional support. So when I say that there are many people who are fatherless, there are people who don't have or didn't have someone that was a man to provide those things for them. The emotional support, the love, the encouragement, like I said, the scolding, the reprimands, and the direction from a male. Mothers, women, we are nurturers by trade, by just genetic makeup. It is embedded in us when we first become pregnant to begin to nurture and care for that unborn child. Nothing changes when that child comes into this world. We instantly kick into motherhood, and we take off running. And so there are certain things that only mothers can do for their children, and there are certain things that only fathers can do for their children. So when we look at the people who, as I said, have been fatherless and who are still fatherless as adults, there's a different dynamic. There's a different way that Father's Day is experienced with them. And I tell my clients all the time, when I'm working with families, because many of you know I'm a marriage and family therapist. So when people hear that, they automatically think, well, she just works with couples. Yes, I work with couples, but I work with families. Most couples have children. Most couples are thinking about having children. Most couples were children. And so when you're looking at the family dynamics, I tell these adults that sit in front of me that we really don't know the impact that we can have and will have on our children's life. As I just stated, the different differences between mothers and fathers, and, mothers being the nurturers, and that instinct just kind of kicks in and we take off. But sometimes we do the best that we can. Let me put that out there. But sometimes we forget that children need more than just the necessities. Yes, children, everyone needs food, water, clothing, and a roof over their heads. And so many of us as parents, we focus so much on providing those material necessities that we forget about the other aspects of growing up and of our children's lives that need to be tapped into. And so we like I said, we readily go ahead and we provide those necessities. But there are other things that we need to look at as children. We need to look at their emotional needs. And a lot of times when the emotional needs of children are not met at home, when you go into the classrooms, you see it firsthand. And it doesn't present itself as an emotional need in the classroom or away from the home setting. It presents itself as behavioral issues. It presents itself as lack of focus and interest in schoolwork. It presents itself as, below average academic functioning. It presents itself as the inability to interact with other children appropriately on a social level, the inability to communicate and express one's feelings. So not meeting the emotional needs of a child has a whole lot of repercussions and consequences that we as parents don't think about because, like I said, we do the best that we can do, but we're so fixated on those necessities that we think we have to provide: food, water, shelter, clothing. And we forget about the other things that children need to develop. And so as we're talking about a father's love, we all know that a mother's love is unconditional, it's irreplaceable. Without the mother, the child can't come into this world. But sometimes we neglect or we forget about the impact and the role that fathers have in our lives. And a father's love is just as irreplaceable as a mother's love. I recently read something the other day. I think it was actually on Father's Day. Someone posted something on Instagram that said, fathers teach their sons how to be men, and fathers teach their daughters how they should be loved. And it's so powerful. How many times have you heard it said that women marry their fathers? Not, you walking down the aisle with your dad, but you look for someone who possesses those qualities of your father. Every girl wants to hear that they're beautiful. Every girl wants to hear that they're a princess. Every girl wants to be cuddled and held and kissed and just told that they are the greatest thing since sliced bread and beyond. And so when little girls don't grow up with that from a man, from their father, because, again, the mother can't do everything. Mothers can only be mothers. They cannot pick up all the slack for a father. So I know a lot of us don't believe that, but that's the truth. No one can be a father but a father. No one can be a mother but a mother. So when girls grow up without that male attention and love and admiration that comes from a father, what happens? What happens? Women go off, little girls, go off into this hardcore world, looking for it. They're looking for that, oh, you're beautiful, you're a princess, I love you, the hugs and the kisses. And what typically ends up happening is they go looking and they find it, but they find it from the wrong person. They find out the wrong way, what love is, what it means to be loved. And so the love that little girls get from outside sources, aside from their fathers, is not always the best. I'm not talking about that uncle that steps in. I'm not talking about that grandfather that steps in and provides that. I'm talking about the young boys that the girls go to, that they allow to start feeling on them and, hyping them up to have sex prematurely and all this other kinds of stuff. And that plays on their self-esteem. And so the majority of those little boys who the girls are running to, the fatherless girls that are running to, are fatherless boys. Because if they were not fatherless boys, they would not be taking advantage of the young girls. Because boys that grow up with that father figure, yes, they are taught how to be a man. And not just to be a man in the sense of, that's the way that you were born a man. But no, what it really means to be a man. Yesterday on my radio show, my wonderful co-host, Carl Lucas, and I were talking about what's really at the essence, what's really at the heart of a man, and being a true man of valor, a man of honor and courage and fearlessness, and a man that takes care of their responsibilities and is an upstanding member of society and his family. And so when that type of man is raising a son, he instills those same values in that son. So when that son meets a girl, he's not trying to take advantage of her. He understands and respects her and admires her for who she is and the gift that she is. And so does that girl, because she understands and appreciates the father that she has, and she's learned that she is worth more than what's between her legs, and so she treats herself as such, and she holds that young boy to such a standard that he has to exemplify the things that her father has showed her in order for him to be worthy of her. So you see, guys, it's a cycle. It can be a cycle. The fathers that are there raising their sons and daughters create a standard for those young girls and sons, so that when they're looking for potential mates, they're looking for someone that can upstand and uphold the standard of which they saw in their household. So they will find a mate, find a spouse that represents just that, and they begin a life of their own, and they create and have children, and they go forward. And so that creates a positive cycle. But when you're starting with a foundation that's broken, that has missing pieces, and there is no father, then the girls are left wondering and looking and searching for something somewhere else. The boys are left broken and wondering and searching for something else. They don't know how to be that man of valor. And so that cycle then creates a different type of outcome. You got girls without dads. You got boys without fathers. And so the standard that you would look for in a spouse is completely different. So you're not looking for that one to call you princess, to treat you with respect. You're not looking for that woman that exemplifies all of the things that your father has told you that you deserve as a man of valor. And so the cycle continues there of brokenness. And don't get me wrong now, there are many of us adults that came from fatherless situations, and we have been able to persevere and succeed amongst all the trials and obstacles that have come our way. So, we as people are very resilient. Children are very resilient. But statistics show that the majority of families and girls and boys raised without that father figure have a very difficult time reaching success, and oftentimes are not able to live up to their full potential because they struggle and they go through so many different things emotionally, and just because they haven't had that peace in their lives growing up. And so, I want to definitely charge each of you who are listening to this call and who are now adults that were raised in fatherless situations. And I thank God, before I even get into that, I thank God for those grandfathers, those uncles, those brothers, those mentors that have stood in the gap, for many of us growing up. Because without them, God knows where some of us would be. I think about my own experiences and not to diminish my biological father's role in my life, because, yes, he had his own struggles and own issues. So I wasn't raised by my biological father. Was kind of in and out. Again, he had his own issues and own struggles. But I have learned something from that. I've learned that no matter what life brings you, what hand life deals you, you have the power to make a conscious decision to either wallow in the mess and the strife that life hands you, or get up, dust yourself off, and do something different. And so many of us who don't have that father figure in our lives, we can either wallow in that, we can live and have low self-esteem, set low values for ourselves as women and girls, and we can continue to look for love in the wrong places. As boys, we can continue to be angry and resentful and have low self-esteem and live a misguided life because we didn't have that father figure. Or we can decide that we're going to do things differently. Yes, we may not have had the best examples, but we know what life has been like without it. So let's make some choices that are different so that we don't have to create the same cycle for our own children. And so, as I said, I learned those things from not having my biological father there on a consistent basis, but thank God that I did have someone who stepped in, had an awesome stepfather who has always gone above and beyond since I was in the second grade to be that knight in shining armor for myself, to mold me and to support me and encourage me and to show me what a man of valor looks like, to show me what I needed to look for in a spouse and in a mate and a father for my own children. And so, my hat goes off to him and to all of the other men who step into that role of a father when that child is not biologically theirs, because they don't have to, but they do so because they love the woman and they love that child. And so, again, I am so appreciative of my own stepfather. I don't even consider him a stepfather, only because I'm talking about him and such, but I consider him to be my father. And so I know that there are many of us out there who have had the same types of relationships, and so we need to make sure that we continue to let them know how blessed and appreciative we are of them and the role that they've had in our lives. And, the other piece of it, as I was talking about us now being adults, we have a choice. Like I said, we had a choice to live in the sorrow and all of the stuff that goes along with being, quote-unquote, fatherless. Or we can make a different decision. So now we know we have been fatherless. Now what do? What do we do? How do we overcome this? There are many of us that are still bitter, still resentful of, not having that father figure, still kind of struggling, trying to find peace and find our way through life as men and women. And so the question is, well, Nikhol, what do I do? Yes, my father wasn't there. I still feel some kind of way about it, and I feel like I'm still having issues today. What do I do? Well, the first thing that I want you to do is understand that an inactive or absent father is no reflection on you. It's no reflection on your self-worth or your self-value. As a child, we don't pick who brings us into this world. We don't pick who makes up our DNA and chromosomes, unfortunately. And so the decisions that Dad made to either be inactive, somewhat active, inconsistently active, or just completely absent, that was their choice. And as much as it was hurtful and makes you think, well, does he not love me? Did I do something wrong? Is there something wrong with me? You got to take you personally out of the situation. That was the decision that person made for whatever reason, and it has nothing really to do with you. It has to do with more of issues within themselves. And oftentimes we think about how great it would have been to have my dad and this, but we really don't know. We really don't know if that situation would have been a great situation. After not having my biological dad around for the majority of my life, when he did come around and we had this conversation about what it was like for him not being there, he shared that he was going through some things and was in a very difficult space. And, how different and probably messed up my life probably would have been if he had been around going through the things that he had experienced. So in reality, his inactiveness, his absenteeism was somewhat of a blessing at that time in my life and in my mother's life, because we didn't go through the harshness of what possibly could have been dealing with some of the things that he was dealing with and struggling with. So you can't always look at the absenteeism of a father as being a negative thing. Sometimes blessings come in different types of packages, and you just have to look at the situation for what it was. Don't take it personally, and understand that choice was a choice that man made, and that it's no reflection on your self-worth. You are worthy of having the love and respect and support and encouragement of a great father. And sometimes, as I just said, things work out a little bit differently. But I believe and truly believe that God knows best and that everything happens for a reason. The second thing you can do is, like I said, acknowledge that you are worthy of love and to be treated properly and respected. That's for both men and women. It doesn't matter who this other person is that you're looking at being a spouse or a mate or whatever, but if they are not treating you as royalty, not meaning that they're spending all their money on you and you got all the gems and jewels of the world, but meaning that they are respecting you, they're admiring you, they are supporting you and encouraging you, both men and women, then you need to kind of reevaluate that situation, because in order to get that in life, you've got to first acknowledge that you are worth it and understand that you deserve it. And if you hold yourself in such a manner, and that's the energy that you put out, that will be the energy that you receive. You will begin to meet people who will think of you as such. But if you continue to think that, you're not worthy, you're damaged goods, you didn't have a father, so you don't really know what it means to be a man, you can't be in a positive relationship because you didn't see any positive images of man and woman together. If you continue to think that, then that's the kind of life that you're going to live. That's the kind of energy you're going to put out, and you're going to attract people who are attracted to that energy, and you're going to have that negative stuff continue on throughout your life. So acknowledging that you're worthy, changing up those habits, those thoughts, so that what you put out is what you get back. The third thing that you can do is to love yourself inside and out. the good, the bad, the ugly, and all the gray areas in between. You know, you are a precious, precious, precious jewel. And when God made you, He didn't make another. We all are unique. We all are special. Yes, we have our imperfections, but, you know, we are perfectly imperfect. And so loving yourself inside and out, dad or no dad, father or no father, mother or no mother, sister or no sister, brother or no brother. You are who you are. You are a blessing, and you are blessed to be a blessing to others. So love yourself. Number 4 is to forgive. Forgive. Guys, I meet so many people that come into my office that are dealing with heartache and heartbreak, and they are just so stubborn that, and I try to impress upon them that forgiveness is not for that person that wronged you. Forgiveness is for you. How can you expect to have blessings and to have peace beyond measure when you're still harboring ill thoughts and anger and resentment to someone else? You know, and so you've got to be able to forgive so that you don't block your blessings. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. I promise you. And it saves you from a life of drama, heartache, and pain if you just go ahead and release it. And forgiveness is not forgetting. It's not forgetting. There's no way in the world that you can ever forget the life experiences that you have been through. I mean, unless you haven't get in an accident and you have a horrible head injury and you get amnesia, but there's no way that you can, you know, forget the experiences that you've been through. But forgiveness is acknowledging, yes, that it happened. Yes, it sucked. Yes, it hurt your heart to the core. But it's understanding that in order to be able to move on and have a life that's fulfilled, you've got to forgive them. And you've got to forgive them. Don't mean that you got to ever talk to them ever again, interact with them. It's just you forgive them for hurting you. And you're able to move on, okay? And the 5th thing that I think, you know, we all can do is to allow God to hold us and keep us and sustain us. You know, even though you may not have had that biological father that was there, you know, maybe he was there and he was inconsistent. Maybe he was inactive certain times of your life. Maybe he was absent completely, but God is a God that hears all, knows all, and will be there for you through it all. And so sometimes that may be the only father figure that you have. And we've got a great toolkit that was written that basically that talks to us and shows us what it means to be a father. The unconditional love, the selflessness, the giving of yourself, providing, you know, when you only got 10 fish and 2 loaves of bread, how you can feed the whole family, how you can feed the masses. And so we've got a great toolkit. We've got a great reminder. We've got a great father figure, Father in God, who can provide us with everything that we need. And if we just hold tight to Him, you know, He will definitely step in and take care of the things that we feel like we are missing or that we've lost over time. So, guys, as adults, with that baggage of having a fatherless childhood, a fatherless teenagehood, a fatherless adulthood, think about those 5 things. Make those significant changes. Understand that, you know, an inactive father is no reflection on you or your self-worth. Acknowledge that you're worthy of love and to be treated properly and respected. Love yourself inside and out. Forgive. Understanding that forgiveness is not for them, it's for you, so that you can have peace and have blessings that overflow. And 5, allow God to hold you, keep you, and sustain you, and be that rock for you, and be that image of what it means to be a man of valor, to be a man of standard, so that as men you do have a model. Even if you didn't have a physical one here on earth, you got a model. And ladies, even if you didn't have a physical role model here on earth of what it means to be a father, you've got one in God. So, guys, this has been your midweek motivational message. I hope and pray that, again, this inspires you to live the life of your dreams, live the life that you deserve, go after everything that God has already set for you. You can't do that when you're harboring ill thoughts and you have not forgiven. So, guys, make sure you forgive. This is my challenge to the fatherless. Be that beacon of light that you wanted for yourself. Be that for somebody else. Again, remember, we create cycles, but our cycles don't have to be deadly and just down and out. Our cycles and families and futures and years to come can be bright if we start today doing things differently. I love you with the love of Christ. I pray that you have a great rest of your week. I pray that this helps you make it through the rest of Hump Day and beyond. Guys, again, this has been your midweek motivational message. I am Nikhol B. Jackson, wishing you peace, love, and always remember that your healing is just a journey away. Tune in next week, same time, same place. Take care.